Hey everyone, Josh here with Fresh Start Customs, and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys everything that I broke in the laser engraving rule book as a new laser engraver owner in the past. So hopefully that you guys don't have to run into this issue with your own laser engraver if you're brand new to laser engraving. So we're going to get a top-down view of everything that I engraved, all my mess ups, all my mistakes. I know you're used to seeing like videos of like things being made perfect all the time. I'm going to show you all the flaws. Some reason I did keep these over the years. I don't know if it was just as a reminder or what, but I'm going to share all of these with you and my mistakes. And a lot of this is going to be based on safety and things that you don't want to do with your laser. So do not repeat any of these that you see in this video here. And we're going to talk about them all along the way. All right, you guys. So as you can see, we got a lot to talk about here. Here are all the different things that I saved over a course of time. There's been many other mistakes along the way too. These are probably really good ones that you can all learn from if you're brand new to laser engraving or laser cutting in this matter as well. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of walk through and talk about all this one by one and why some of this is dangerous, why some of this was just a pure mistake and a coincidence that you can run into. And we're just going to take it step by step and run through this here real quick. First up, let's just start on the left. I got this little toy guitar here. It's all made out of plastic. So obviously, if you own a laser engraver, you don't want to engrave on plastic, even if it has a fake sticker on there that looks like wood. I was brand new to laser engraving. Didn't know that you couldn't engrave on plastic without it being toxic. This is actually toxic and harmful both to your machine and yourself for your health. So never engrave plastic. Even though this one did turn out kind of good, definitely don't do that. I do not recommend engraving on plastic. That's something I learned right off the bat after I did this thing over here. So this over here is probably the most important thing you can take away from this video. This is an old vinyl record. I tried cutting out Betamax from Big Hero 6. And as you can see, it just looks all melted and it looks bad. It looks terrible. This is my first ever attempt at engraving anything with vinyl records. And it was my last attempt after I looked up if it was toxic because it did put off fumes that kind of made me dizzy in my household. So I stopped that really quick, and this was on a fast cut setting, and it still melted, and it still looks terrible. Never cut vinyl records. This is something most new laser engraver owners learn out the hard way, and I'm trying to help prevent you guys from learning the way that I did. This is very hazardous to your health and to your laser, so do not do this with your laser. If you want to get those vinyl looking clocks that you cut out, go ahead and use like my file for fake black acrylic, and then you can make your own fake vinyl records, which are made out of black acrylic, and a black acrylic is safe to make. Do not use a vinyl record from like Goodwill or something like I did here. Do not do that. That's the most important takeaway is do not use vinyl records. Next up, we need to talk about clear acrylic. So clear acrylic comes in two different forms. There's cast acrylic or there is extruded acrylic. As you can see, this is kind of melted and choppy. There's two reasons to that. This is extruded acrylic. It kind of comes out somewhat choppy sometimes, but it can come out clean, kind of like this one did here. And this was extruded as well. What you want to do is you want to contact the manufacturer of your acrylic if you're going to use extruded acrylic. It smells horrible regardless if it's safe or not, but the manufacturer will let you know if it is laser safe. But it will smell horrible when you cut this stuff. So just a heads up, you always want to use cast acrylic if possible. It still has a smell to it, but nowhere near as bad as extruded acrylic. So, like I said, it just kind of melts more with this type of acrylic here than it does with cast acrylic. So always try to use cast if you can. If you can't, then contact the manufacturer. Make 100% sure that that is safe for your laser engraver and try and prevent things like this from happening like I did when I first started. Next up is your settings. All of this stuff right here is safe to engrave on this wood, and this wood. But these were some of my first mistakes. So when I went to do an engraving, I actually hit score and it scored out the entire thing here. So you always want to check your score and engraving functions there. That's basic stuff that you probably already know about, but I want to let you know of. The next thing is if you're going to engrave with settings, go ahead and do a test grid first instead of just keep guessing at the settings like I did. This engraving looks pretty good, but this actually took about 6 hours on my old K40, my first laser ever. And that is a long time to engrave something to get it looking decent. That should have only took maybe at most 30 minutes, but way less than that even. Um, Lastly, I got this piece here that was a test piece for scoring. And as you can see, it is all ripply. You want to use really high quality images or an actual vector engraving instead of just tracing a really crappy bitmap like I did whenever I first started out. Because I didn't know anything about designing. That's all I did was trace a bitmap and it came out like this to score. And it looks terrible. So that is just a quick lesson on different settings that you can do there. Next up is another health hazard here. These little plastic cases here. If you're going to be using like a CO2 or a diode laser, these can produce toxic chemicals as well if you're engraving with those. IR lasers, you may be able to get away with it, but there are some plastics that are still toxic and dangerous with those. So you want to look up with the manufacturer, make sure it's safe to do. But if you're going to be using CO2 or diode lasers, I would stay away from plastic little cheap cases like this because that can be toxic and hazardous to your health. Next up are these wood planks from Menards. They're like vinyl wood planks here. They actually give away a lot of free samples. These were free samples here. When I first started out, I was thinking, hey, I can take one free sample of each kind, find the one that I want, and then I can make a whole bunch of these afterwards. Well, after doing some research, after engraving it, and it was looking kind of crappy like this, I found out that these two, in fact, can contain hazardous materials that can be harmful to your health and the laser. So you definitely want to make sure you check everything you do, especially if it has any kind of vinyl, ABS plastic, those types of materials in it. Do your research, check with the manufacturer, make sure it's not hazardous to your health. I know this looks like wood, but it is actually vinyl and wood mixed together. This is definitely hazardous to your health. So make sure you don't do that and learn from my mistakes here. And last but not least, you have these fake looking wood foam pieces here from Menards or from Rose or something like that. Same thing. These are bad for your health here. The easiest way to test this type of material is using a copper wire and a blowtorch. You melt the copper wire with your blowtorch, touch it on here, and then touch it again with the blowtorch. If it comes out green, it is hazardous. If it comes out orange, you should be good to go, but I would still contact the manufacturer. And that is pretty much it. Those are all the different things that I made as a brand new laser owner that you guys can learn from. Hopefully this helped put into perspective that there's a lot more out there that can harm you than you just realize starting off with the laser. So always do your due diligence. Look up all of the materials that you're going to use. Make sure they're laser safe. And with all that said, if you have any questions, let me know down in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer them for you. And we'll talk to you in the next one.